WaterMark Small Basic recipe for teachers. So this recipe is kind of in the beginning. It's most important thing that you're teaching here is the creation of variables. We sometimes teach this as a variation after Pentagon Crazy. So we're going to use the intentional method, and we're going to start with line 15, and we're going to do a fake it till you make it. So read that in English, please.
Move the tortoise the length of a side.
So we're going to say tortoise move 50, and then we're going to run it. And of course, we're reinforcing here that you don't delete the English because we haven't fully translated this. We're going to do line 17. Can you read that for me?
Turn the tortoise 1/3 of 360 degrees to the right.
Okay, and that's pretty simple. Kids should know how to do that by now. And there we go. And then we're going to remove that line by pressing Control L. Read line 18 for me, please.
Turn the tortoise 1 more degree.
Okay. And again, when kids are getting the repetition in the beginning, make sure you're enforcing the navigator and the driver in the pair programming and remove that line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put the loop in here. So read line 7 for me, please.
Do the following 200 times.
Okay, we're going to say 4. And again, emphasize we have the documentation over to the right. And hopefully the kids get to the keyword 4. 1 to 200, and then we're going to put the N4, which they might be forgetting at this point, and then we're going to run that. Now at this point we don't have this in the recipe, but you can see this is going to make a triangle that draws over and over and over. So what you might want to do that's sort of slightly different because of the 1 pixel variation, and normally you'd let this run, is once they get their for loop, you might want to just stick in a speed enhancement, even though it's not in the recipe. So you might want to put in, let me just comment this out, tortoise.setSpeed, and it's totally fine to kind of freeform a little bit as you're teaching recipes, as the kids are getting more comfortable. So we'll put a set speed. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to partially translate line 11. So read line 11.
Use that color for the line the tortoise draws.
Okay, so that color is defined in the previous line. So we're going to, again, fake it till we make it. We're going to say tortoise.set pen color, and we're going to just set it to their favorite color. So we'll say red in this case. And of course, that won't be completely translated yet, but now we're seeing what the shape looks like. So that's kind of a cool looking shape. And it actually ultimately morphs into a circle, which is fun to see. So now we're going to work, because we're pretty close on the shape, we're going to work on the shape a little bit more. So we're going to translate line 6. So go ahead and read line 6.
A side is 1 pixel long.
Okay, and a side is similar to the current side, which is our syntax in English for a variable. Now you can't see this yet, so we're going, oops, I don't want to get rid of it. So we're going to go to line 13 and we're going to finish line 16 actually, because you will be able to see it then. So line 15 of course reads,
move the tortoise the length of a side.
Okay, so this is going to be really, really tiny, and the kids are going to laugh, but that's okay. It's just spinning around, and again, because it's 1 pixel. So we know this is 1 pixel, and we know that we're moving it here. Here's a key line. So read line 12.
Increase the length of a side by 1 pixel.
And again, this is something that kids get stuck on when they're learning variables. So if they can't understand that it should be side equals side plus 1, have them say the English. So what is the side right now? 1. What do you want to do to it? You want to add 1. So you can actually have them say side equals 1 plus 1, and then get them to side equals side plus 1. So we're going to go ahead and run that. See that? And that's going to give us that shape. So they can kind of see how the incrementing works. So it's kind of a fun shape. So that is translated, so we can get rid of that. Now we're going to work with the new API. One of the things that we're introducing as we get into intermediate recipes is this idea of reading your documentation to understand the APIs. And so if you read line 2,
get a picture of sand from Flickr.
The kids maybe will know by now the hint control space, which gives a list of all the different objects they can work with, and encourage them, if you haven't done it before, to explore. And here we've got the Flickr object. So on the Flickr object we have get picture of moment or get random picture, and they're going to have to explore So if we look at get picture of the moment, it doesn't take an argument, it just grabs a picture. But if we go to get random picture, of course it takes a tag or an argument. So we're going to say get random picture, and then we're going to pass it in the string sand. Now this returns anything from live flicker, and you have to have an internet connection for this. If you run this right now, it's not going to do anything because you haven't associated this. So this is again kind of a tricky concept. We want to use that picture as your background. So to do that, you're going to work with which object?
The program window.
And if we're not sure, we can explore on the program window, and we can see that we're got a method over here called draw background image. So let's take a look at that method and see what that does. Draws an image, resize the current dimension of the window. You have to pass in an image. There's two ways you could do this. You could take this whole flicker statement and you could copy and paste it inside. And you might want to do that when you're first starting, but then the kids are going to say, well, hey, that's kind of redundant. And you can say, yeah, if you wanted to get a picture of something other than sand, you know, you'd have to remember to change it inside of there. So you can do that and run that. And it'll take a minute to retrieve the sand picture. And there's a picture of a girl on the sand, so you got to be sure of what you're bringing up there. And the picture will change every time. Or you can actually call it background. You can assign it as a variable, and then you can just pass in a variable, and then you'll see that it works in the same way. And it'll be a different picture, because it's just randomly calling a picture. And there you can see the shape is being rendered on the picture. Now the color of the shape doesn't have anything to do with the picture. So just for fun, we're going to associate the color of the shape with the picture that's actually drawn. So we're first going to get rid of these two lines that we translated. And then we're going to format our program, just make sure everything looks good. And now we're going to translate line 6 and finish line 7. So go ahead and read line 6.
Get the color of the pixel that the tortoise is currently on.
And you may need to help the kids with this. This is not super intuitive. The object that you're going to use is the graphics window. So on the graphics window, you're going to scroll down and look at the methods, and you're going to find, and which method are we going to use there?
Get pixel.
Get pixel. So once you get to the graphics window, you can probably find it if you read the documentation, but it's not the most intuitive thing. So get pixel takes an X and a Y. So to retrieve the X and the Y, how are we going to do that? What object are we going to use?
Tortoise.
Okay, so if we look on the tortoise object, you always want to start logically. We have conveniently a get X and a get Y. So, and these are methods, so they have to have parentheses. And now we've retrieved that, but again, just like in the above, rather than copying and pasting that whole thing down here, we're going to use the same pattern, and we're going to call this color, because it's just a little bit more elegant, and then we're going to call this color. And now when we pull the value, then we will have the color for the line being pulled from the actual picture. So let's go ahead and run it. And the picture will be retrieved, and you can see as the tortoise is rendering, it's picking up. It's a very subtle effect, but it's kind of neat looking. It's picking up wherever it is, and it's using that color to draw the next line. So this is actually kind of a cool picture. So that's the watermark. One final variation you could do, we didn't write in the recipe, is you could abstract this out as a variable, and you could call it position, and see if any of the kids could figure that out, add an additional line. So we'll just finish cleaning it up, and it's fun to change the different values as well for the picture. This is one the kids like to do for variations. It's also fun to change the length of the sides, the number of sides, so on and so forth. So and the shape itself. So for more recipes, go to www.teachingkidsprogramming.org.